Don't go anywhere. Hit that subscribe button. Tap the notification bell and be the first to know when we drop a new video. Like and share with your fellow American patriots who love this country. And if you haven't even an American patriot, you are someone who believe and love freedom, love democracy, truth, and don't like corruption, hit the subscription button.
CNN, BBC, France, 24, I'm watching you all. I'm recording every lie. I'm archiving every distortion. I am Ibrahim Traore, and today I'm pulling off your masks. Yes, you heard correctly. I, whom you call a young military junta leader, whom you brand as a dangerous radical, whom you serve up as an anti-Western dictator, am now telling you the truth. And this time you cannot turn off your microphones. This time you cannot turn away your cameras. This time your editors cannot cut this speech, because the world you monopolize no longer exists. Because millions will hear these words now, without passing through your filters, without being subjected to your distortions, without being muddied by your lies. I am 34 years old. Every day of my life, I grew up with your lies. As a child, I would watch Africa on television. Always the same images. Children with flies, dry lands, weapons, death. This is Africa, they told us. This is what Africa is. And we believed it. We were ashamed of ourselves. We were ashamed of our own lands, of our own people. But then I grew up. I read, I researched, I questioned, and I understood that the Africa you showed us wasn't real. The story you told us was a lie. The fate you imposed on us was a script you had written. For years, how have you portrayed Africa? How have you shown it? How have you sold it to your viewers? As if we were creatures who had no share of humanity, as if we were savages left outside of civilization, as if we were wretches waiting for you to save us. Every day, every hour, every minute, the same story plays on your screens. Hunger, war, disease, corruption, terror, chaos. These are the words that come to mind when Africa is mentioned. In your Africa dictionary, there are no other words. No hope, no success, no development, no resistance, no honor, no pride, no victory. So I ask you, New York Times, Washington Post, Guardian, Le Monde, have you ever made Africa's successes your headlines? How many times have you written about Rwanda's technology miracle? How many times have you shown Ethiopia's reforestation project? How many times have you praised Botswana's democratic success? How many times have you described Kenya's entrepreneurial ecosystem? No, because these don't fit your scenario. Your Africa cannot be successful. It cannot, because then how will you legitimize your exploitation? If it's not in need of help, how will you intervene? If it's not backward, how will you look down on it? Have you ever asked yourselves, has any editor sitting at their desk, any news director in a meeting, any columnist at their keyboard ever thought, why are the people of the world's richest lands poor? Here are the numbers for you, real numbers. Africa owns 70% of the world's cobalt reserves. Your cell phone, your computer, your electric car won't work without cobalt. This cobalt comes from Congo, but Congolese can't afford cell phones. Africa owns 90% of the world's platinum reserves. Catalytic converters, electronic devices, medical implants, they all need platinum. This platinum comes from South Africa, but South Africans are crushed by unemployment. Africa provides 30% of the world's gold production. Mali, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Tanzania. Gold flows like rivers from our lands, but our people swim in poverty. Africa supplies 65% of the world's diamond production. Botswana, Angola, Congo, Sierra Leone, billions of dollars worth of diamonds are extracted, but our miners live on $1 a day. Africa owns 35% of the world's uranium reserves. Niger, Namibia, South Africa. Nuclear plants run on our uranium. Paris lights burn with our uranium, but our villages have no electricity. And you still ask, why is Africa poor? No, the right question is, how was Africa kept poor while being so rich? Here's your answer. Colonialism didn't end. It changed shape. You used to come and occupy our lands. Now you come and establish companies. You used to take by force. Now you make agreements. You used to rule with the whip. Now you rule with credit. Let me give you concrete examples. With numbers, names, dates, but you'll never write about these. Glencore, Swiss-based mining giant, extracting cobalt in Congo. 2022 revenue, $256 billion, a tax paid to Congo, $500 million, that's 0.2%. Is this justice? Rio Tinto, British-Australian mining giant, extracting bauxite in Guinea, 20 million tons annually. What's left for Guinea? Environmental pollution and cancer. Total, now Total Energies, French oil giant, extracting oil in Angola, Nigeria, Congo. 2022, profit, $36 billion investment in Africa, dirty pipelines, Anglo-American, founded in South Africa but now in London. Diamonds, platinum, iron, taking everything. What it left in South Africa? 6 million unemployed miners. And these are just the tip of the iceberg. What about the invisible, the secret deals, the offshore accounts, the transfer pricing tricks? Every year, $88 billion in illegal money flows out of Africa. Who writes about this? Every year, $45 billion in aid comes to Africa. Everyone writes about this, but no one says Africa is not the continent receiving aid, it's the continent giving aid. While you zoom your cameras on swollen bellies, there is a huge system working silently in the background. Every day, tons of gold, diamonds, cobalt, uranium, oil leave our land. But how? Here is the system. Step 1, create corruption, bribe our leaders, open offshore accounts, promise them a life of luxury, send their children to your schools. Step 2, make deals, get 50-year, 99-year concessions, ask for tax exemptions, be exempt from environmental rules, ignore labor rights. Step 3, control the infrastructure, take over ports, airports, railways, but only from the mine to the harbor. Don't build roads to the villages, don't bring electricity to schools. Step 4, provide security. Set up private security companies. Arm them. Declare protesting. Step 5, silence the media. Buy local journalists. Suppress opposing voices. Serve internal unrest news to international media. And this is how the system works. It's been working like this for 100 years, and you don't see this system. You don't want to see it, because you're part of the system too. Who are the biggest advertisers of New York Times, CNN, BBC, oil companies, mining companies, arms companies, pharmaceutical cartels, the companies that exploit Africa? You live on their money, you defend their interests, and what I'm about to tell you might cost me my life, but it's no longer time to be silent. France's system in Africa is the CFA franc. 14 African countries still use French colonial currency. 50% of these countries' central bank reserves sit in the French treasury. France applies negative interest to this money, so we pay France to use our own money. Through this system, France transfers $500 billion worth of resources from Africa every year. Does anyone write about this? No. But when France gives Africa 10 billion euros in aid, it makes headlines. Britain's system is more sophisticated. London is the world's money laundering center. City of London, offshore paradise. Every penny stolen from Africa passes through London. Jersey, Guernsey, Cayman Islands, Virgin Islands, all under British control. Africa's wealth hides there. America's system is AFRICOM. Africa Command, 46 military bases on the continent. Official purpose, security. Real purpose, resource control. Drones in our airspace every day, listening devices everywhere. They say fighting terrorism, but it's not terrorists. It's people's leaders who are targeted. China is the new player, says win-win, builds infrastructure, gives credit, but in exchange for what? 99-year port concessions, mining rights, agricultural lands, debt-trap diplomacy, ask Sri Lanka, ask Zambia, and you write about none of this. Why? Because you're not free press. You're corporate press. Your bosses are billionaires. Jeff Bezos bought Washington Post. Why? For love of journalism? Rupert Murdoch's media empire, Fox News, Wall Street Journal, The Sun, The Times, all from the same hand, all giving the same message. West is good, others are bad. Carlos Slim is the largest shareholder of New York Times, Mexican billionaire. Where's his wealth from? Monopolized telecommunications, got rich off Latin America's back, now controls America's most respected newspaper, and you claim to do independent journalism? Who are your editors? Which schools did they graduate from? Harvard, Yale, Oxford, Cambridge? Always the same elite schools, always the same worldview, always the same prejudices. How are your reporters selected? How many languages does your Africa correspondent speak? French, English, that's all. Swahili, Hausa, Yoruba, Amharic, they don't know. They can't talk to the people. Your sources are always the same. Western diplomats, NGOs, experts, and then you come and lecture us.
Who is the world's youngest leader? It's a question that fascinates many and defies traditional notions of age and experience in politics. Across the globe, young leaders are breaking barriers and redefining leadership. From Africa to Europe, these individuals are proving that age is just a number when it comes to making a difference. One standout figure is the Prime Minister of Finland, Sanna Marin, who took office at just 34 years old. Her progressive policies and focus on climate change have garnered international attention and admiration. But she's not alone. In 2020, Gabriel Boric became Chile's youngest president at 35, advocating for social justice and reform. Young leaders bring fresh perspectives and innovative solutions to complex problems, challenging the status quo. As the world evolves, so do its leaders. These young visionaries inspire the next generation to engage in politics and strive for change. So, who inspires you in the world of leadership? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. Join me as I dive into the question of whether Ibrahim Traore can actually free Africa from IMF control, and I'll share my thoughts on the challenges he faces. Ibrahim Traore, the young and ambitious leader of Burkina Faso, has been making waves in African politics. His rise to power was swift and decisive, as he took control in a military coup. What makes his leadership significant is his vision for a self-sufficient Africa, where nations aren't beholden to external forces. This vision resonates deeply with many Africans who are tired of decades of economic dependency. Africa's relationship with the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, has long been a contentious issue. On the surface, the IMF provides financial assistance to countries in need, but this help comes with strings attached. African nations often find themselves forced to implement austerity measures, cut vital subsidies, and prioritize debt repayment over essential public services. This creates a cycle of dependency that's hard to break. The IMF's influence can stifle economic growth by imposing policies that favor foreign investors over local businesses. Many argue that the IMF's approach is one-size-fits-all, ignoring the unique cultural, social, and economic contexts of African countries. The results are often devastating: reduced spending on healthcare and education, increased poverty, and decreased economic competitiveness. Furthermore, the IMF's conditions frequently lead to privatization of key sectors, making essential services unaffordable for ordinary citizens. The harsh reality is that African nations have limited room to maneuver within the IMF's framework. They must comply with the IMF's demands to access vital funds, but these conditions can undermine national sovereignty. The fear is that African countries are merely trading one form of dependency for another, with little hope of achieving sustainable economic growth. Ibrahim Traore's vision for Africa is one of financial liberation. He aims to reduce reliance on external aid and promote self-sufficiency. By encouraging local production, supporting small businesses, and investing in infrastructure, Traore hopes to create a more robust and resilient economy. His policies could have a profound impact on Africa's economic trajectory, allowing nations to chart their own course without IMF interference. Traore's stance on the IMF is clear: he wants Burkina Faso to regain control over its economic destiny. A pivotal moment came when he publicly criticized the IMF's role in Africa's economic affairs. He argued that the IMF's approach has kept Africa in a state of perpetual dependency, stifling innovation and entrepreneurship. This bold statement resonated with many Africans who feel that their leaders have been too afraid to challenge the IMF's authority. The significance of Traore's statement cannot be overstated. By speaking out against the IMF, he has ignited a conversation about Africa's economic future. His courage in challenging the status quo could inspire other African leaders to re-examine their relationships with external financial institutions. If Traore succeeds in breaking free from IMF control, it could set a powerful precedent for the rest of the continent. Traore's commitment to change is evident in his government's policies. His administration has begun to implement measures aimed at reducing dependence on external aid. By taking a firm stance against IMF control, Traore is betting that Africa can achieve true economic independence. As Ibrahim Traore continues to push for change, it's clear that his leadership could reshape Africa's relationship with the IMF. If successful, his approach could have far-reaching implications for African nations, enabling them to determine their own economic destinies. The potential for a more prosperous and self-sufficient Africa is tantalizing. What do you think about Ibrahim Traore's chances of freeing Africa from IMF control? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more insights on African economics, be sure to watch my next video.